Okay. What the heck? All right. Hold on a second, T family. Can you check on Facebook? It says I was deleted on Facebook. Okay. Go live. Edit. Save changes? I don't know. All right, everybody. Yep, view on Facebook. Nope. All right. Hang on, everybody. We are try creating a new stream or remove this destination from the stream and then re-add it. So we're going to remove Facebook. Okay. Save the changes. And now I'm going to try and add. Edit. Add Facebook. Save changes. Let's see if this works, everybody. Let's hope this works. Sorry, technical issues. Haven't had those in a while, huh? All right, everybody. Hopefully, it looks like we should be live on Facebook now. I have no idea what just happened. All right. Hello, T family. Before we get started with any more of our craziness, have you ever wondered why living in some of the hottest places on Earth, people actually drink hot tea? You know, I say this because it's in the hundreds today, and I'm about to drink some hot tea. And so we're going to answer that question today and a whole lot more. This session, we're going to be talking about summer tea secrets. We're going to be answering your questions live. We're going to talk about some different things, maybe some tea facts. But let's start by saying hello in the chat or comments now that we do officially have confirmation that Facebook is up and live at this point. No idea how that happened, but things like this happen. At least we were able to do it. My handy dandy assistant will be helping me as we go and try and move forward with the craziness that is tonight. He's drinking lemonade, by the way. I am going to have some tea in a couple of minutes. But first, I want to answer what I was talking about before. I know it's very surprising, but when you drink a hot beverage, your body can actually increase perspiration. So you start to sweat, which helps cool your skin, which is one of the reasons why hot tea remains so popular, even in super hot climates and on hot days. So obviously there's some impact with the environment and how humid it is, because if it's super humid, like, you know, the Southeast where I was for a while, the sweat can't evaporate as well. So you may not notice that same cooling benefit, but if you add a fan, you definitely will. All right. So Kim is drinking water tonight. I love it. I'm going to go ahead and say, while I'm doing this, also, I'm interested, what tea feels like summer to you? So let's start with that. I'm going to ask you all a question. What tea makes you feel like summer? What tea blend? So tonight we are going to be making, there we go, Summer Kiss, which is our freeze-dried peach, green tea, and red raspberry leaves tea. It has only a little bit of caffeine in it from the green tea, but as you can see, it's mostly peach. And I've actually put this in the perfect amount for my little 2 to 3 cup teapot for a reason. Facebook. Okay. Well, apparently we're having issues with Facebook right now. Everybody just hang with me, please. I brewed the tea or heated the tea to 175, and because we have freeze-dried fruit in it, we're going to actually set the timer for 2 minutes. So let me do that. And Kim says summer tea is a fruity tea for her all year long. I get it, but she likes fruity tea all year long. I do too. In fact, that's one of the things that's fun, is that how many people do like fruity based teas. They typically like straight black tea or a pure blend, like a pure oolong or a pure green tea blend. They like fruity, and then there's some that just like the spice or herbal blends are fine. But a lot of people are very puristic in how they do it. It's funny, we have people at events ask us, "What do you have for fruity teas?" And then they'll ask us what teas are straight that don't have any fruit in them. And it's always interesting because they always seem to ask for fruity teas during the late fall when we don't have as many, or they'll ask for the straight teas when it's spring and we have more of our fruity blends. They are always asking out of season, it seems like. Okay. All right. So one of the questions that we had, we're going to go ahead while we're waiting, got about a minute. Does green tea always contain less caffeine than black tea? This is an excellent question. Not always. Many people are surprised to learn that caffeine actually depends on several factors, including the tea plant, how the tea was processed, and even how you brew it. While green tea often contains less caffeine, and most of the time does, than black tea, there are exceptions. And so it's always important, if caffeine is something that you're very sensitive to, that you pay attention to that. And we are about 17 seconds away. So I think one of the biggest tea myths is that you can tell the amount of caffeine just by the color of the tea. It's simply not true. We can have green teas that are much higher in caffeine content than black teas, and vice versa. So there we go. There we are. Okay. Now we're going to pull. And Stephanie is enjoying watermelon lemonade this evening. There you go. All right. So I am now going to pour my hot summer kiss into my teacup. And there we are. So again, if you have any questions, anything you wanted me to chat about tonight, as it's our question and answer session, please put it in the chat or comments, depending on which version of the, sorry everybody, 7 o'clock is really getting close to my bedtime. And the chat or comments, depending on which platform you're using. Okay. So one of the fun things about tea is a lot of times people love to drink tea a little bit more during the summer. I know my handy dandy assistant said his go-to tea is an iced tea in summer. That is not normally something that he will drink in the winter months. However, there are more other, even if we take iced tea out of it, and instead of talking just traditionally about afternoon tea, there are a lot of countries and cultures that enjoy tea outside. For instance, Japan often celebrates seasonal beauty while enjoying tea outside. Morocco enjoys mint tea as hospitality inside, outside. In Great Britain, you have the tea that often accompanies the picnics and the garden gatherings. And so that's one of those things, whether it's the mountains, the beach, the garden, the front porch, there's always seems to be more people who enjoy tea over the summer months. So I'm going to take a sip of this now. It should be cool enough. All right, so this is one of the reasons why I like this is it's super light. You get the peach, a little bit of the green tea, the red raspberry just adds a little sweetness to it. It's a really nice light summer blend, as you can see. Okay, another question that we had is, can loose leaf tea be cold brewed? Absolutely. Cold brewing really is going to create, on average, a smoother, sweeter cup because it extracts the flavors differently than a hot tea. And for whatever reason, that tends to bring out more sweet notes in the tea. So a lot of people enjoy that cold brew because they don't have to add anywhere near as much sugar or any sugar at all, and they'll still get the sweetness out of the tea. If you've only tried iced tea, made hot and then poured over ice or cooled down and put with ice. You really should take one time and just see the difference between a hot tea that has been brewed hot and then cooled versus an actual cold brew. The flavors will be really different in a surprising way. So, and that's one of the things that's nice is that you can enjoy the same tea blend, and it's still going to taste a little different, giving you a little variety. Okay. Another question we had is, well, why do some teas taste sweeter than others, even without sugar? And this is where I'm going to say, first of all, natural compounds in tea, along with ingredients like fruit, spices, herbs, are going to help with this perception of sweetness. Obviously, I'm drinking a fruit tea. It's going to taste sweeter than if I was drinking a straight green tea. But the brewing temperature also plays a role. Overheating some teas makes them feel more bitter, and it's going to mask a lot of those sweeter notes. And so I always want to say, keep that in mind. It's really a proper brewing. All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about cold brewing tea right now. There are questions that I see coming up. Number one, no, you do need more tea when you cold brew. I typically will add, if I'm doing it just for a cup instead of like the 2.5 grams, I might add like 3.5 to 4 grams. Typically because the cold brew isn't sitting as long. And so you definitely need to be able to infuse a little bit more. Let's see. Now, I do not at all suggest the cold brew machines like you would use in coffee, because they're just not going to allow the tea to steep as much. You're not going to have as much of that time. So if you use, whatever you use, I'd use about 1.5 times the amount of tea, and you're going to put it in the cold water. Really, you're going to want it as icy cold as possible, and then let it steep in the refrigerator for about 4 hours. You can let it go a little longer, but I really like the idea of the 4-hour time frame. And then when you pull it out, you're going to obviously remove your tea leaves and put it aside, and then you've got a cold brew. So it is not necessarily the same as how you cold brew coffee. Cold brew, literally, it's a little bit different, but that's how you would cold brew tea. It's a little different from like a sweet tea, a sun tea, or what we call a counter tea or a moon tea, where we're leaving it out kind of room temperature. This, you're making sure everything is really iced down and cold, and you're putting it in there for that 4 hours, so it really has time, and you do need to add more. Now, could you use a French press? Yes, you can do a French press with tea. You're going to want to do it slower, and there are people that do it all the time with their hot teas through a French press. You just want to make sure you're still keeping an eye on how long that water is mixed in with the tea to make sure you're going to get a full steeping, so to speak. I have to say, you have to kind of adjust it. Not all French presses press the same. Some press faster and it comes out faster. Some press slower, and how much you use for pressure, things like that. But basically, you're going to want to make sure that that tea actually gets to steep the appropriate amount of time. And then cold brew is, French press, I typically also, because it's definitely not going to be infusing quite as long, I typically will use a little bit more. So, but that is a great question. I know that we have done cold brews with tea for some events. In the beginning, we used to do that a lot. And then people would make the tea hot and notice that there was a slight difference. And so now what we do is we brew all the tea hot, and then we let it cool. If we're going to want to have some iced or cool cold tea, so to speak, at the events. And that is just because, again, cold brewing, you're going to have some more of those sweeter notes versus brewing it hot and then letting it cool. And so typically we also try to do something like that because we can brew it the night before, let it cool, put it in the fridge, and then we have a nice cooled. That's especially good. We do that a lot when we normally are in the farmers markets in the summer. We're not doing farmers markets this summer. So if you've looked for us there, I'm sorry. Life got a little crazy and we've just opted. We wouldn't have been able to do it most of the summer anyway because we weren't here, obviously. But if you've missed us, I'm sorry. We're planning. The goal is to do it again next year, but this summer we're just gonna not do farmers markets. But that is one because one of the farmers markets we did regularly was on a Thursday evening, and it was the heat of the day. It was that 4 to 7 time frame. Although really, we would start setting up at 2:30, and we could have people dropping by at 3, so 3 to 7. So you're really talking the heat of the day, and people wanted something cold at that point, and so we started to do some hot teas, but also some of the cold ones. So there you go. All right. So another secret that I wanted to share about summer that's a little bit different, and we kind of touched on this in previous live streams, was the best cups for a summer tea. Now, I obviously brewed this hot. And I have a traditional China cup. Yes, sorry. It is official bone china. Just wanted to make sure. And but some utensils, some holders, some cups do better in the summer. Glass mugs, ceramic mugs, double wall glasses. The different materials can change the experience, even if the tea is the same. We've talked about that before. But also, we really drink with our eyes as much as we drink with our other senses. And people love the idea of having that tea in a see-through glass, more so in the spring and summer months. And that's one of those things that people love the clear glass for. The other thing is glass mugs and the ceramic mugs. They are going to cool down a little bit faster if you're having your tea brewed hot and it's already hot outside. So it's if I brew tea and it's 70 degrees, that tea is going to cool faster than if I brew my hot tea and it's 101 degrees like it was today, or I think we made it to 103 today, but like it's 100 degrees. It's a huge temperature difference, and that will impact on how long it takes your tea to cool. So that is one of the reasons why the glass mugs, ceramic mugs that are open, double wall glasses, that's more the visual effect. People love to see those colors. It is also one of the reasons why people will typically use their clear glass teapots during summer more so than they use in the winter. They want to see those flowers blooming. They're already seeing flowers outside. It's one of those mental things that people love. And for whatever reason, seeing that colorful blend seems to have people think the tea is more refreshing. And again, I think that comes from the fact that you see the tea with your eyes as well as taste and enjoy it with your other senses. So, all right, I'm going to give you the easiest trivia question I've ever given. You ready? Are you ready? Okay. Which came first? Loose leaf tea or the tea bag? Go ahead and put in the chat or comments. Just want to see if you get this one. Which came first? Loose leaf tea or tea bags? Come on now. I know you know the answer to this one. This is easy. This is super easy. Even my handy dandy assistant could get it. Okay, I'm just teasing him. I'm just teasing him now. But I am... You'll have to forgive me. I got stung yesterday. A little thing. All right. And I see loose leaf. I see loose leaf. I see loose leaf. And I see loose leaf. See? Yes, you're absolutely. I told you it's the easiest trivia question I've ever given you. Yes.
Tea bags.
I don't know if you heard him or not, but Rich decided to say tea bags after I announced that it was loose leaf tea. You just gotta love it. Tea bags are really a relatively recent invention. Loose leaf tea has been how people consumed tea for thousands of years throughout. So that should be an easy one. See, I wanted to give you a nice, easy trivia question for a change, not one you had to think about. Okay. So another question I received for today: should tea be kept in the refrigerator? So here's what I'm going to say. If you have brewed your tea hot, you have removed your tea leaves, and you are letting it cool down, yes, you can put it in the fridge. If you are cold brewing tea and you're timing how long those tea leaves are going to be in the water, yes, you can put it in the fridge. If you, on the other hand, are talking about what to do with tea leaves in between brews, for instance, I've brewed this for the very first time, I have 2 more brews. Do not put this in the refrigerator. You do not want to put your tea leaves in between brews in the refrigerator. Now, are there exceptions? There's always an exception. And a lot of times when you've heard me say yes to that, it's because we're talking about a different tea blend, but especially a lot of the refrigerators hold a much higher level of humidity, and therefore it's going to start to mold faster. So you're better off your best bet is to drink all 3 cups in the same day. If you don't do that, then just let it kind of dry out naturally. Some people will even take it on a plate and kind of spread it out, but you have to watch out. If there's fruit in there, especially, you don't want that to start to mold because it's just been rehydrated. Since our fruits are freeze dried, it's now had moisture back into it. So obviously you're going to want to drink it fairly quickly with that. All right. Well, hello, Diane. She's drinking water tonight. All right. Well, so I always say that, like, that's why we don't want it. We don't want to have to deal with mold. I know some people spread it out. My favorite way is to just drink all 3 of my cups. But those are kind of my answers with should tea be kept in the refrigerator. Now, I have taken tea that we've had at events, and I'll take it home and we'll put it in the fridge and bring it to places we'll bring it to church on a Sunday morning if it's been a Saturday show to help people drink it quickly. But we do put it in the refrigerator in between that night when we get home. And our stuff doesn't have sugar in it, so that's another thing. The other thing that I would say is, if you are drinking tea, if you like black tea, like for instance with Serene Sunrise, a lot of times I'll have milk in my tea. Rinse your cup out in between brewings, because we don't want the milk to get in the tea leaves and then be out on the counter or in the fridge, because milk being out at room temperature isn't always the best idea. So if you're going to have any kind of milk in your tea, just rinse your cup out before you do the next steeping, and that way you won't have milk kind of stuck in with your tea leaves. It's also why when I make ice cream with tea, or if I am making a cuddle in a cup or anything where I'm brewing the tea leaves in milk, I just get rid of them after that first brew, just because, again, we're talking about dairy. We want to be extra careful. There's enough healthy foods out there right now that are trying to make our systems off. We don't need to add to that. All right. So the other question I was asked for tonight is, what is the easiest loose leaf tea for beginners? And I have to say, they're all about the same. It's just a matter of brewing like we did here. We heated our water to the appropriate temperature. I had this to go in the teapot, and then I timed it. I pulled it out, and then I just poured some Summer Kiss right into my cup, and I was good. So it doesn't have to be this big, complicated thing. It doesn't have to be difficult. It doesn't matter. It's just a matter of what temperature for the water for the tea that you're drinking, and how long you brew it. Really, those are the changes that I would say. You don't necessarily, one type of loose leaf tea is not any more complicated than another type of loose leaf tea. All right, those were the questions that were sent to me. If anybody else has any other questions, please put them in the chat or comments. I do want to make a couple of announcements while I'm giving everybody a chance to add those additional questions in. Number one, if you are on our website, first, we are back to shipping. Second, Harmony is still available for another couple of weeks, or actually 11 days. It will be available through the end of July. I talked about that before. You'll also see Summer Kiss is available on the website. And there's another one. Oh, Summer Butterfly, the 2 summer blends, and they will be there for at least July and August. I'm thinking of actually taking it to Labor Day with those 2. And that way everybody has a chance without too much rush to be able to get their summer favorites before they come off. Now, I will say that I have it on my calendar to make the, lack of a better term, we haven't come up with an idea yet, but the pumpkin spice tea samples later this week, and then getting those out either late this week for the ones that are getting mailed, or this weekend for the ones that are getting handed out for my tasters to try and give us feedback, because I will say pumpkin is a fruit in our world for right now, only because we're, again, it's freeze dried, but that will be added to our fall along with Appealing, which will be back very soon as well. Those 2 things I wanted to make sure I let you know. The teas were going to be there, and also the samples are coming up pretty quick. I will also tell you that we now have more peaches available. So for those of you who reached out and said that you wanted to try some of our peach berry that we made last week together, that I have those samples for the peach berry. Those will be going out the same time, end of this week or this weekend, for those that I see in person. Okay, I'm not seeing any other questions pop up. Have I missed something? Okay. All right. Well, I just want to say thanks for spending part of your day with me. I have to say, this has been one of the things this summer, the chats, the live streams, whatever we want to call them, has really been an important part of facing kind of the chaos of our summer a little bit. And so I wanted to say thank you. And then I'm trying to remember what we're talking about next week. Oh, I know what we're doing. We are going to be making a tea-based mocktail, and I might have a new flavor that we will be discussing, a potential new short-term flavor for us to enjoy next week, as well as making a mocktail or 2. So, peachberry. Yes, Diane, we did peachberry. Let's see. Last week we made a tea blend together. It has jasmine green tea in it. It has freeze-dried peaches. It has blackberries, and it has a pinch of red raspberry leaves in it. So that was one of the things that we did last week. Handy dandy assistant, we are not making a rhubarb and mint tea next week. Nobody wants to watch me make faces, since mint is not my favorite. Nobody wants to see that. I'll be making all the faces as I try it. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining me. I will see you all next week. I hope you all have a wonderful week. And if you are living near where I am living, please stay cool and make sure you drink plenty of water because summer season is here and we are officially in the hundreds for a while. So, all right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week.